The effect of the grant of this license is to permit the government and the NGC to engage in negotiations with the government of Venezuela and other stakeholders to advance the Dragon Gas project without breaching sanctions imposed by the United States government and US law. It bears noting that the last administration spent in excess of $120 million pursuing this project. Win for all of the parties. The United States benefits from this arrangement. There are terms and conditions in the license which ensure that US companies benefit, and there are tiers as to exactly how they should benefit. Trinidad obviously stands to benefit.
Okay, what's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So the US has finally granted Trinidad and Tobago a new OFAC license. A license for the Dragon's Gas project. But before we celebrate, before we pop champagne, let's look at what it really means. Because despite all the headlines, this isn't the big win we are being told it is. In actual fact, this is nonsense. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to unpack all of this so you understand fully what is happening here. But before I do so, I want you to like and subscribe to Trinidad Empowerment Network. Like and subscribe to 10. It goes a long way. All you have to do is click like or subscribe or both. It goes a very, very long way. And thank you for liking and subscribing. So the Dragon's Gas project is an offshore natural gas field that sits just inside of Venezuelan waters, for those of you who do not know. The gas belongs to Venezuela. But Trinidad and Tobago wants access to that gas to boost our own gas supply. The problem being, and it doesn't take a rocket science to work this one out, the problem is Venezuela is under heavy sanctions from America and parts of Europe, which makes this an issue. Now, that means essentially that no country can do business with Venezuela without permission from the United States, from the Office of Foreign Asset Control, commonly known as OFAC, the Office of Foreign Asset Control. Like I said to you on previous videos, such is the arrogance of the United States, such is their status in this world, that the rest of the world needs authorization from them for that country's natural resources. In this case, it's Venezuela. Make it make sense. So OFAC is part of the United States Treasury. It's part of the United States Treasury. And it's the only body that can actually issue or block these licenses. If OFAC doesn't approve, if they don't approve these licenses, it's illegal under US law. So essentially, no OFAC license, no deal. No OFAC license, no deal. It's quite simple. The Office of Foreign Asset Control. I'm still trying to get used to the audacity of the United States of America. In any case, Trinidad first got permission back in 2023 under the then Joe Biden administration. Back in 2023. But in April of this year, in April of 2025, that license was revoked, leaving the project frozen. The license was revoked in April of 2025 this year, leaving the project frozen. Now, in October of 2025, which is this month, the US issued a new limited license. And here is what that really means. Here it is what it means for Trinidad and Tobago, what it means for America, and certainly what it potentially means for Venezuela. And you are going to have to make this make sense, because it doesn't make much sense. So, according to Reuters and the Financial Times, I quote these outlets because this is verified. The new license allows Trinidad and Tobago and Shell, which is an American company, to negotiate with Venezuela for 6 months. To negotiate with Venezuela for 6 months. That's it. It's the first of 3 phases, and each phase will only continue if the United States renews it. Hope you're still with me. It also comes with strict conditions. Strict conditions. Number 1, the United States must oversee all negotiations. Condition number 1, the United States must oversee all negotiations. Condition number 2, the United States companies may have to be involved. And number 3, no payments or profits can go to Venezuela or its state company, PDVSA. Make it make sense. So yes, Trinidad can talk to Venezuela, but we still cannot do business with them until or unless Washington approve every single step. Venezuela and the Maduro government are not allowed to profit from their natural resources. This is why I say to you, this is utter nonsense. Nonsense. Now let's talk about the politics for a minute. Let's revisit the politics here for a minute. The same prime minister who is Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago today, the PM of Trinidad and Tobago today, is now celebrating this achievement. Celebrating this achievement. I don't know if you remember, she was one of the loudest critics of the Dragon's gas deal when she was in opposition. She accused the then Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, of trying to do business with a narco president. She even suggested she would inform the United States government about Keith Rowley's attempt to negotiate with Maduro. Do you remember this? Stay with me now. Now you fast forward to today. She's in power, and suddenly it's all smiles and handshakes and strategic diplomacy. Make it make sense. I dare say this is not leadership. It never has been. It's nothing but hypocrisy wrapped in public relations. It's nothing but hypocrisy wrapped in public relations. I'm telling you now, so long as Donald Trump is the president of the United States and Nicolas Maduro, is the president of Venezuela, this deal is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So here is the breakdown again. The license lasts 6 months and is up for negotiations. It's up for negotiations by the United States. It's 6 months and it's up for negotiations. It can be extended, but only if the United States conditions are met. Only if the conditions of the United States are met. It forbids any payments to Venezuela. Imagine that. It forbids any payments to Venezuela, and it can be revoked at any time. It can be revoked at any time. This is supposed to be independence. I can assure you this is not independence. It's dependency. It's dependency managed by the US Treasury. In all actuality, the US, the United States, is getting Trinidad to do the dirty work for them. It's literally getting the government of Trinidad to negotiate with the leadership in Venezuela they so disapprove of, they so despise. And Trinidad is out here trying to do the negotiation and the dirty work for the United States on behalf of the United States. It makes no sense whatsoever. This is utter nonsense, and it's fooling the Trinidad and Tobago public, the masses. You tune into to 10, the truth will be told here. The truth will be told here. Now here's what the local media isn't explaining to you. Here is what the local media isn't explaining. So even with the new US license, nothing happens unless President Maduro agrees. That shouldn't be difficult for anyone to understand. Nothing happens here unless President Nicolas Maduro agrees. The Dragon field, as you know, is 100% Venezuelan. It is their resources. It belongs to the PDVSA, the Venezuelan State Oil Company. PDVSA is the Venezuelan State Oil Company. So I want you to imagine for a second. Imagine this. The US says Trinidad can use your gas. The United States says Trinidad can use your gas, Venezuela, but you cannot touch the money, the profits coming from it. I have to dumb myself down to try and make this make sense. It's so nonsensical. It makes no sense whatsoever. It's not a partnership. This is clearly not a partnership. It's modern day exploitation. It's modern day colonization. Again, in repeat, neo-colonization. It's exploitation in front of our very eyes. And Trinidad and Tobago are being used to perpetuate this. And it's you know what? It's frustrating to see. It's quite sad to see this happening in front of our very eyes. Don't be fooled by the nonsense coming from our government in Trinidad and Tobago. This is a non-starter. For Maduro agreeing to that would be political suicide. It would be political suicide. He is already under heavy sanctions. He's under pressure, and he's fighting to keep control of Venezuelan resources. If he accepts a deal that helps Trinidad and the United States, whilst his own country gets nothing, it clearly makes the man look weak. It makes him look weak, even treasonous, I would call it, even treasonous at home to his people. It literally makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. So let's be honest, as we do here on 10, there is no way he agrees to this under those terms. He is not going to agree. It doesn't take a rocket science to work this out. He is not going to agree to this under those terms. So whatever the Prime Minister is deciding to do, to send whoever she needs to send to Venezuela to negotiate this deal, he ain't going to agree to this deal. It makes no sense. And again, the whole thing, I find it frustrating. I know you do, 10 viewers. I'm sorry to have to bring this frustrated news to you. I'm not enjoying bringing this to you, but this is a fact and this is reality. And this is where Washington's their game essentially becomes clear. This is where the game they are playing with Trinidad and Tobago, and indeed Venezuela, becomes clear. The US is using Trinidad as the middleman or middlewoman, the go-between. to see if they can get Maduro to bend without negotiating directly with him. They're using us to do the Marco Rubio, when he shook the prime minister's hand, is laughing and smiling, thinking, well, I'm using you. I don't talk to Maduro. I despise the man. So maybe I could use the Trinidad prime minister to negotiate with the man he so despised. They get to say, we didn't deal with Venezuela. Trinidad did. Trinidad did. But behind the scenes though, they are controlling everything through the OFAC license. Are you getting it now? I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are, 10 viewers. I'm sure you are. So we take the risk. We take all the risk, whether it be militarily or economically. We take all the risk. They keep the power, and Maduro still control the gas. Again, I ask you to make it make sense. None of this makes any sense. So this is where we are. So for the people in Trinidad celebrating, sorry to burst your bubble. Sorry to burst your bubble. There is no win here. No one's winning here. No one is winning here. Certainly not Trinidad and Tobago. We are still begging for US approval. We are still begging for US approval. And certainly not Venezuela. Venezuela are not going to be, they can't be paid. They're not going to be paid under this deal. The only winner here, it appears to be the United States. They keep control over both sides. They keep control over both sides. And the reality is, they can control us. They can control us because they have the resources to. They have the economy to. And it's really that simple. They have the refineries that we don't have. It's not energy diplomacy happening here. That's power politics. This is not diplomacy or energy diplomacy. This is power politics happening in front of our very eyes. And I have no other way of breaking this down to you. This is plain and simple now. This is what's happening. So this is where we are. This is where we are. So I'll end by saying this. If you've stayed to the end, thank you. And thank you for your continued support, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So let's call this what it is. This deal isn't about energy. It's about leverage. It's not about energy. It's about leverage. The US holds the Trump card. No pun intended. They hold a Trump card. The OFAC license, they hold it. They hold the power card, the Trump card. Like I said, they are using Trinidad and Tobago to do their diplomatic work, their diplomatic dirty work. So until Venezuela is allowed to benefit from its own gas, I would say, until Venezuela is allowed to benefit from its own gas, and until we can negotiate freely without Washington's permission, this deal is simply an illusion. This deal is simply an illusion, nothing but a headline with zero substance. So that's it. I hope you have a better understanding now. If you didn't before, I'm sure you did. But none of this makes any sense. It is not a win. It's nonsense. We have a prime minister in Trinidad and Tobago who has a budget fast approaching, so she is indeed desperate for a win. This is not one of them. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Anyway, I keep my ear to the ground and bring you the best information as I can, as I do here on 10. Please like, subscribe. Take care, look after each other. God bless. Peace.